You only get one chance to start a new line of paints.
Back in 2019, we were actually working very hard to launch a range of airbrushes because it's just next step for our evolution of Warpaints.
I remember when I first sat down with Bo and Jonas, and I said, why aren't we doing airbrush paints?
Technical problems came in the way, and we had to postpone it because we weren't satisfied with the quality at that stage.
There were just other things that had to get done first, because this is a big deal. Airbrush is huge.
But now we're ready.
You only get one chance to start a new line of paints. It has to be really well thought out. It's not something that you could just shoot from the hip and bring to market.
The beauty of this project is the fact that I didn't do it. It's the fact that Army Painter has a host of fantastic hobbyists. When I gave it to Adam and he assembled a team, how they rallied around the whole purpose of creating the best airbrush range physically possible.
When Bo asked me to help develop this range of paints, of course, the first thing that I thought was, this is a daunting task. This is both scary, but also awesome.
Yeah, I think what was really cool is that Bo recognized and the team recognized we aren't the airbrush experts. And they said, who is? And they said, oh, Thomas and Adam. So yeah. Here you guys go. What would an airbrush range look like?
It just warms my old heart to see how the staff in the company works together on a hobby level and on a business level too. And I think that's what makes us so strong as a company, is the fact that we have equal measures of both. We have a business understanding for how to present the products, but we also have all the heart and hobby in the world.
Thomas and I have both been using our paints and our Warpaints through the airbrush for a long, long time. And we always knew that our customers wanted airbrush-specific Warpaints. You know, we've been doing airbrush for how long?
Combined, I'd say close to 30 years.
We really got to examine everything that works, and then how are we going to apply that to airbrushing? How do we make it something that is equally good for the elite competition painters like yourself? And maybe break it down and make it even easier for newer painters, beginner painters, people that are new to airbrushing, people that might be not so informed about color theory, you know, which are things that they take a long time to pick up and learn.
We all sit with our paints and think, I wish this was this and I wish this was that. And this was a chance to you know, set your own fingerprint on what you really wanted a perfect paint range to be.
But it was a really fun opportunity because we also got to revisit the entire range, right? We knew that we had these key colors that we wanted to use because they've been fan favorites, they've been successful.
Also because this is our chance to, you know, go back and pick up some people and get them introduced to some new and exciting products. Because airbrush for us has been something that we've tried and erred from many years, many years.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. It was, when I first started airbrushing, I knew that I could get cool effects quick. And, you know, when you first start getting into airbrush, you're like, I'm going to make everything glow. And I'm going to, you know, everything has weathered exhausts. And you just go a little bit nuts.
Yeah, exactly.
And you learn as you evolve as a painter that it's just a tool, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people think airbrushing is if you airbrush, that's the only kind of painting you do. No, it's not. It's just a tool to add to your repertoire. But there is a lot of, you know, trial and error when you first get started. And I was a first-time airbrush painter, like I was 10 years ago, and you were 153 years ago. Thomas was actually the first person to ever use an airbrush. What would I want a company to tell me about it and how to use the products? And I think that's where you and I sat down, and it didn't take very long for us to say, well, why don't we work in Triads?
When they came to me with this Triad system, my mind was blown. It was so simple.
You could just see his eyes light up. He's like, that's great.
And easy to understand. And I couldn't fathom why nobody has done it before.
And I think it really breaks down how to use an airbrush and how to pick the right colors for new gamers or people who are maybe less skilled at picking colors. It just really simplifies it. So with the Warpaints Air system, it's very simple. You know that you're going to be painting ultramarine blue. You're going to have a base tone for that, a mid-tone for that, and a highlight color for that.
One of the most important aspects in my brief was the fact that the quality had to be very, very high. One thing we built this company on is a very high standard and quality of products, and the airbrush had to be the same.
I think the key thing that customers are going to see that's the difference in the Warpaints Air range is it's a multitude of things. Number one, it's the fact that it's airbrush friendly right out of the bottle. So a couple years ago, we had the opportunity to develop the airbrush medium. And I think that's one of the most clever products that we've ever been able to develop at the company, because we want to make sure that this is airbrush friendly and usable right out of the bottle. A large part of that is due to the medium that we use to thin down these paints.
Yeah, the main goal for this was to make it as easy to use as possible. We spent a lot of time on each color to find the right amount of mix for it to be used.
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of people probably just assume that we took, our standard Warpaints formula and used the same amount of the medium and the thinning agents to make it all the same, but that's not the case at all. I was actually kind of surprised by that, because in our testing, Thomas and Jesper were basically hand mixing everything to get the perfect ratio. So for example, something like Chaotic Red might have needed a little bit more of the thinning agents and mediums than something like ultramarine blue. Many different aspects. All of these are a unique formula to get the best ratio of thinning and pigment.
And there's also the coverage of the paint to take in account. So it's a fine balance on how to get the colors working as good as I think that they ended up.
No, I think we nailed it. I remember back when I started airbrushing, there was this kind of meme going around in the forums and people saying that airbrushing is cheating. Absolutely, it's cheating, and I'm 100% okay with that, because I'm an army painter, and at the end of the day, I'm trying to paint my armies as quickly as I can to a very high standard. Whenever I'm painting a project for myself, it starts with the airbrush. It starts with that base coat. I feel like I get the most bang for my buck when I'm painting using the airbrush first, especially when I'm painting an army, because at the end of the day, that's what I do the most. I'm a big army painter. I'm not a competition painter like Thomas is. I wish I was.
Well, the good thing about airbrushing is it really lets you have the proper contrast on the miniatures from the beginning. So you have a really, really good base for the rest of the paint job that you want to apply to the miniature.
When you're looking at 100 or 200 models at a gaming table, the first thing that you really notice is what is that main color? What is the color that's tying the whole army together? By using the airbrush, it gives me more time to focus on other things like my standard bearer in my army, or the facial features of a champion, or something along those lines.
I definitely use the airbrush for competition pieces as well, because it gives you the best foundation to finish it off with your normal brushes and normal paints. Could never do a competition piece without starting with a foundation of airbrush. I hope for two things: that it's easy to use, both as an idea with the Triads for new people, but also as a product, from experienced airbrush users.
There's more than one way to skin a cat. That's a saying that I pass around here at the Army Painter a bunch, and I don't think it quite exists in Danish. But there's more than one way to paint a model. I think that some people are better using the airbrush than they are using brush painting. I've seen people use dry brushing in ways that I only wish I could. Now, when you look at the entire range that the Army Painters put out there, we have literally everything that you could need to not only build your model, prime your model, and paint your model. We make the best washes in the industry. Our standard Warpaints acrylics range are some of the best and most highly pigmented paints in the world. And then you look at adding the air range and things like that, really making it a total paint company.
I'm really excited about seeing what the users will actually get out from this airbrush range, together with all the other products that we have. So that's gonna be exciting.
Anybody that wants to learn how to paint, when they come to the Army Painter, we're going to have a solution for you. I think when painting is easier, when you're able to demystify a lot of the secrets of how to paint miniatures, it makes it more enjoyable. And really that's our jobs, is to make people love the hobby, love painting miniatures, and enjoy it as much as they can.